today was day 5 in the yard, so I have 10 days left. And we started off with section B pre-trip. And despite studying it, when it came down to it, I botched a few things up. And I tell you, it's one of those things where in my head, I know it. And then I get there in front of the truck and I'm looking at things and I goof some things up. And it's usually like, today I almost I almost completely bypassed the entire brakes. It's the push rod and slack adjuster I completely bypassed. And I don't even know how that happened because it's like I'm looking right at it and I'm like, oh yeah, I must have done that or so. I don't even know what the thought process was there. But I start off strong, saying the script, saying everything the way it's supposed to be. And then I got into the behind the cab, went down until I got down to the underneath the catwalk area. And then it all kind of fell apart. I was like, I goofed up a few things. So I got to continue to study this. There's by no means do I have this thing down to a science yet. So much paperwork, so much to do, front and back on so many pages. It's like ridiculous. But I got to know it. And to do that, it requires practice. And then after that, the other guy that was with me in my group, Fritz, he went. And then another guy who needed he came over to our group because we were doing pre-trip and he needed to go over sections B and C. And he did, but he was having a hard time remembering, a lot of the things. He was having to think about things and like this, and his eyes would roll up and he would be trying to think about what it was. And so it's like I got up there and I was confidently stating and pointing, and if I could have maintained that and gotten everything, I would have aced it. But instead, when I remembered something, I was able to confidently point it out because at that point I knew it. But there was, it's one of those things where I'm like looking at it, I'm like, what is your name? What are you thinking? What is that thing? So tomorrow is section C and coupling. So I got to go over that stuff and make sure I know it. Because it's not unattainable. It's definitely there. I just got to do it. Take more practice to do it. So that will be something that I have to work on. After pre-trip, we started doing parallel parking, and it was just me and Fritz going back and forth. So I got a lot of truck time, and I appreciate that. It's definitely needed. But the interesting thing is that we started with one truck, and after lunch, changed it up to a different one. And there are differences between trucks when you line things up with a certain amount of space over on the landing gear, for example. And then when you back up to a certain point, you get it, you feel it. And every single time I wasn't able to see that second cone after I followed the procedure because the Peterbilt, because it has a sleeper berth on it, it doesn't turn as fast. And it means I got to overshoot it a little bit turn-wise. It doesn't turn nearly as fast. So I have to overshoot the marks that I'm used to in order to properly get all the way over there. And then once I do, I just got to remember that it slowly pulls itself back in. So I got to get used to this one. This is the vehicle I'm going to test in, that truck. So again, not unobtainable. I need to have practice on it because I'm feeling good about it. I like it. It's got a great clutch. Another thing I really need help with, I think, is the seat adjustment, because someone who's a lot lighter than me will go and sit down in front of me, and the seat is, when I get in there, the seat is almost touching the bottom of the steering wheel. And then as soon as I sit down kind of jam myself on the thing and kind of force it down a little bit, it slowly starts to collapse all the way down. And then I sit down behind the wheel and I like jam my legs underneath the thing, and I'm feeling I'm feeling the steering wheel on my knees. And then I raise it up, and when I finally get it where I want to, I feel like I'm like, the front area between my knees and my hips is downward at an angle, like almost like that. It's like a little bit downwards, but I like sitting up high and looking around. But whenever I get out and look, man, it's like I am all over the place. Like when I'm trying to get back in that truck, because it's I'll go and get there, and then that the seat is practically touching the steering wheel again. So I go and kind of sit on it a certain way and then force it down and I just need to figure out a good way to sit in that thing in the truck, because that is going to be important for me. So anyway, the maneuvers are going well. There's just getting familiar with the way that it backs up on the day cab, and then the sleeper berth. It's just a little slower. I just got to get used to it. Slower, and it doesn't turn nearly as sharp. So yeah, I just got to get used to it. So tonight I'm going to be studying section C and coupling and seeing how that goes. Hopefully it will go smoothly and all will be well. I'm hoping so. It's not unattainable. It's not unobtainable. I feel good about it until I get up there, and then I'm like, I should remember something else in the script. Just got to work on it. There you go.